Good afternoon, everyone. I'm so excited you're here for Flipping for Flipgrid. This is another one of my daily PD sessions that I'm offering for teachers to get them prepared for next school year, and it's a PD series based on teacher requests. So thank you guys so much for joining me for Flipping for Flipgrid. If this is your first time checking out one of these videos and you just stumbled across my channel, my name is Jennifer Hall, and I'm an educational technology specialist with Atlanta Public Schools. And in my role, I support teachers with technology training and collaborating on tools that they can use to engage their learners. So if you haven't already done so, go ahead and subscribe to this channel. Make sure that you click that button so you'll be reminded of future training sessions that will be coming up throughout the summer. Awesome. So let's go ahead and dive in here. Our session goals for today are, I'm going to provide an overview and talk about the features of Flipgrid. We're going to talk about how you sign up and how to create a grid, how to create and share a topic, and tips for using Flipgrid. And a bonus is that you can respond to a Flipgrid that I'm going to share with you guys. So that's what we're going to do today. So the first question I often get is, well, why Flipgrid? I've heard of Flipgrid, but I don't understand what's this Flipgrid fever business all about. I've been a fan of Flipgrid for the last couple of years, and it just keeps getting better. And we're going to talk about some of the updates that are available now in Flipgrid. So one of the main reasons I absolutely love Flipgrid is the fact that it fosters the 4 C's: communication, creativity, critical thinking, and obviously communication skills. It's crucial for our students. The other thing that I like is it's an interdisciplinary tool. It's not something that's a math tool or a science tool or social studies tool or an ELA tool. It's used in all content areas, and we're going to talk about ways that my teachers have been using Flipgrid. I love that it inspires students' creativity, the fact that it connects students to the world, and obviously the fact that it's accessible for all students and it's free and it's available on all devices makes it pretty awesome. And it just really gives every student the opportunity to share their voice. So that's just, a few of the reasons why I love Flipgrid and why I think you're going to want to use it with your learners as well. So some ideas of ways that teachers are using Flipgrid already, and then we're going to walk through some specific examples, but I do want to, point out ways teachers are using it as starters for their student reports, for classwork discussions, especially with us out for distance learning right now. It's a great tool to be able to have students be able to engage, because when you have your live sessions with students, it's hard to hear every student contributing. Flipgrid allows for that opportunity. Great for classroom announcements, projects, presentations. I've seen all sorts of creative things. It's awesome for an exit ticket at the end of a session. Great for goal setting in the beginning of the year. Kind of have students share, hey, this is what I hope to accomplish this year. And then have students be able to go back and check, all right, what was that goal that you set? And did you actually accomplish it? Great for book talks. Peer feedback. I've seen students use it for daily school news, which I think is pretty cool. Obviously, just for reflections. I've got a lot of my teachers are using it for SEL, because right now, with us out, remote learning. Now, my school district has wrapped up with students, but I know that, while we were out for those 3 months, it was really challenging for students and teachers to feel connected. And I think Flipgrid really allows for that. And it's great for student, parent, and teacher introduction. So as you're planning for the start of your next school year, you can be thinking, hey, this is a great way for me to introduce myself to my parents and students, but also have the students and parents introduce themselves to you. So definitely a really cool tool, and we're going to talk about some other options. So if you're not familiar with Flipgrid, or you don't already have a Flipgrid account, you just need to go to flipgrid.com to join. And so we're going to actually hop over there. I'm going to go live. And we're going to walk you through some stuff, but I have a slide deck that has screenshots of everything that I'm talking about that I will share in the video description, so you can go back and check it out at your leisure. So if you don't already have an account, you're going to hit this sign up button, but I'm going to go ahead here and log in. They have an educator login or educator sign up. Your students don't have to have an account, but it does help if you've got a Google or Microsoft account to link to it. So I'm going to go ahead. I've logged in, and then you're going to land here. The first time you log in, it's going to say create your first grid, because you're brand new. So to create a grid, we're going to start here, and we're going to click on this, and we're going to have to think of a grid as a class. So if you have, 4 or 5 class periods a day, you would want to have a separate grid for each one of those. And the reason you want to do that is because you're trying to build that sense of community within that class. And so your students might not feel comfortable sharing, knowing that outside of that safe space of their classroom, that students are going to be able to tune in. So I'm just going to name this my first period class. Okay. And then I'm going to choose what type of grid it is. So you have three options here. The first is school email, which works if you have a Microsoft or Google account. Your students can log in to it and it's secure. So this is the way that most of mine are done when I'm using it directly with my students or supporting teachers. We use the school email. The student ID is if you do not have a Microsoft account for students or you do not have a Google account for students and you want to use a student ID as a way to verify that they're the students participating. Because you do want to have some sort of accountability so that you know who's logging in and it allows for some security. Now, this third option down here is the educator learning community option. And what's really cool about that is that means if you can open it up to outside of your school domain. So the first one, if I create it, only students that have an APS email can log into mine. Only teachers can log into those as well. But if I make it like this, I can open it up. So the one that I have at the end of the session for you guys to respond to is going to be an opportunity for you to respond. And I've opened it up so anyone can respond to that one. Okay. So for the purpose of right now, I'm going to say school email. Okay. And then I'm going to go ahead and click next. And what it does is it automatically gives me a Flipgrid code. So it's going to start with my last name here, and then it's going to give me a code that you can use for that particular grid. So that means that anytime I use it, it's going to go there. So remember, I want to use my apsk12.org. So whatever your school domain is, whatever it is that is the end of your email, whether it's Microsoft or Google, you want to put that in there. And that lets me know that that's the correct one. So I'm going to click that. And just like that, my class is created. So I'm going to want to do this for each of the classes I'm creating, but we're just going to create one right now. But this is what's super cool. Already my grid is ready and I can share it out. I can embed it on my website. I can link it to Microsoft Teams. I can share it to Google Classroom, or I can share it on Remind. So let's go ahead and go to our grid. So once I've got my grid, there's a couple of settings that we want to take a look at. So anytime you want to change anything, you want to look for this pencil right here. So if I want to edit my grid, if I forgot, oh, I meant to change it first period A day because you have an A day or B day schedule, or you want to add your subject area to it, you can do that as well. So I can go down here, change a couple other things. Okay, I can choose whether or not it's active. If I want to get notifications, this is a new feature that was shared recently, and it's nice that you can set how often do you want to be alerted that someone is responding to your stuff. Are you wanting it to be weekly, every other day, for every video, or never? So I can choose which one I want. So you might want at the end of the day to be allowed that. And you can choose whether or not students can download or share their videos. And I can go down here and personalize this. So right now, Flipgrid gave me this cool, colorful background, but you might have a logo that you want to use. I do different ones for my different schools. I use the school logo, and I have a template that I'll also share in the description that you can use if you're interested. But I can search for images here. So maybe I want this one. It's a little, I love all these little students. And now when I update my grid, that's going to be the picture that's on the top right there. So definitely think that that's pretty cool. So now I've got my first period class with my students, and there's that code that takes me right there. Now, if you are a teacher that has a co-teacher, so a special ed teacher that supports you, or you want to have just one of your teammates or your evaluator to have access to this, we did a lot of Flipgrid videos at the end of the school year for students to do the reflective memory since we were out of for distance learning. So we did quite a few of them. And so I was the co-pilot on it with the schools I was supporting. And then like everyone on the team had access to it so that they could go in and pull out the videos to create their end of the year spotlight. So you can add a co-pilot, which is pretty cool. So automatically I've created my class here, this grid, and it's got this say hello on Flipgrid. It's already got a prompt in here for students to respond to. You can turn that off or on if you want, but I think it's a great way for students to get comfortable if they've never used Flipgrid before. So I would suggest leaving that on, and it serves as that welcome space. So what I want to do is I want to add a new topic. So I'm going to click to add a new topic here. And it's going to ask me, what do I want this topic to be? So I'm just going to call this distance learning challenge. And there we go. And then I'm going to put my instructions in here. So this can be whatever I want it to be. So maybe you've already got an assignment where you've got those specific instructions you want to share with students, or that writing prompt. Now you've turned it into a verbal prompt or response to a task. You can copy and paste that in here. And what's great is I can bold, italicize, underline, and I can even hyperlink to other things. So it might be like, hey, take a look at this Google Doc real quick, and I want you to then respond. So it's super cool. Now I'm going to answer a couple of questions here. How long do I want my students to have? 1 minute, 30 seconds is kind of the default is where it goes, but I might choose that I want it to be as much as 10 minutes. So I can drop that down and have it be maybe 5 minutes, 45 seconds. It just depends on what you want. So I'm going to say that I think the 2 to 2.5 minutes is kind of the sweet spot. You want to allow a little bit more time just in case the students need it. This other one over here, and this is the one that I always tell my teachers they need to take a look at, the video moderation. By default, it's open. And it's open because the goal of Flipgrid is for your videos to be recorded and to be seen and shared and have people comment on them. But not everybody's ready for that. Or you have students that are, let's be honest, we have some knuckleheads in our classes and you're not quite sure how they're going to do, and you want to check the video before it's publicly viewable. So you want to put that video moderation on. I had an 8th grade ELA teacher that her gifted students were like, we're fine with recording a video for you, but I don't want anyone else to see it. And so I totally understand that. So that's where you're going to turn on that video moderation. If you forget, you can go back and change it. So I'm going to go ahead and moderate that. I'm going to scroll down here and I can see that I can add some focus stuff. This is really cool. I can give them an image that's to spark a discussion. So maybe a meme. I can add in emojis. I can add in links from either Microsoft or Google. I could have it be a Kahoot game, and then they have to reflect on how they did on the assessment. You can add in a Wakelet collection. And if you don't know a lot about Wakelet, I have a whole session on Wakelet. You should definitely check it out. It is a super cool tool. And you can also add in Nearpod, Newsela, Adobe Spark. Any of those are options I can add as a Spark. So I could even record a video that I have my students watching me explaining what the task is. So I could go ahead and hit create a topic. I'm good to go. All right. So what I want to do is I want to go to the more options here, and I'm going to look at a couple other things. I can give them a topic tip. This is really good for differentiating instruction in the sense that you might need to remind some students this prompt relates to X, Y, and Z assignment, and you might want to take a look at chapter 2 or 3 or whatever, so you can help them what's going to best support them answering this response. You can also attach things as well, up to 9 links. So you really can give them example videos. You can give them prompts that help them formulate their response and everything right there. Now, I'm going to go down here to the topic status here. I can choose to have it active. That means right now anyone can respond to it, but I could also have it be frozen, which means it's viewable, but nobody can respond to it, or I can have it be hidden. So we're going to leave it active. And I'm going to go over here to the launch and freeze dates. Think of this as like when your assignment goes live. So if I said today, I can leave it open to never, which means it's, there's no deadline of a response. This is really good for like feedback things that you want to be ongoing inside your classroom throughout the year. But if there's a specific deadline, you want to put that when it freezes. I had a math teacher that used this in 6th grade. The students were working on a group project and they had to present it on Flipgrid. They had 1 week. She's like, the deadline is Friday. I need you to understand that there's a deadline. And so she had it freeze at the end of the week. A couple of other things that you can set up, and we're going to look at what these are, selfies and video options. You can definitely change those, and you can also turn off the ability to edit, which means it's a one-take option. I don't want you to spend time editing. You can also do the video title. You can allow students to give a title to it, attachment link. Now, notice that a lot of these are set up so that they are, excuse me, that they are default on. Green light means good, but you can also turn them off, like view count. Think of that as maybe your students would be a little disheartened to see that not that many people watch their videos. The same with the likes. It's automatically turned off, but you can turn it on and off. That's very much like, Instagram likes and YouTube likes, and you have to be mindful of that. The student-to-student replies is also on. So once the video is live and other students can watch it, they can reply to each other. That's the goal of amplifying student voice, is allowing students to see each other and provide positive feedback or critique them in an effective way. So I can go down here, speaking of feedback, and you can also use the feedback option, and you can add in, by default, it's ideas and performance, and you could do custom feedback based on the criteria that you have available inside of this. So just depends on what you want to do. So I'm going to go ahead and select create a topic. Please find address and highlighted fields. Oops, I forgot to give some instructions here real quick. Try this. Just going to type something in there. There we go. Create topic. There we go. So now if I share this particular link directly out into Teams or Google Classroom, I can do that. And I can also share it by QR code. So when you get back into a classroom setting, you can pull that QR code up and students can scan it with their mobile device and they're good to go. So I'm going to click all set. So now I'm in here. I didn't add a topic focus. That's fine. I can go down here. I don't have any responses. So I can also take a look at if I need to make any changes or I want to share this out again, I can hit that share. If I need to make any changes, remember we look for that pencil that allows me to edit that topic. Some things you can do with some top responses. So let's go back here and look at one that I've got some responses in. So we're going to go down here into my Educator Insight one. And you can see I've got a couple of responses here, ideas for using HyperDocs. We're just going to take a look at this one. Okay. And so I've got one response. So I can see what I can monitor the different responses. And I actually want to go over here too. I have one that's got some really cool responses. Oh, I had a great question here about customizing the feedback. Sure thing. Let me hop over there real quick and we'll take a look at that. Thanks for that question. All right, let's see here. I'm going to go back in here. This is the one we just did, the first period class. And I'm going to scroll down here. And if I choose to, let's go here down to the topic where we just said distance challenge. All right, I'm going to edit this topic. If I scroll down here at the bottom, notice I can, where I showed you where that rubric is, if I go to customize feedback, I can add my own criteria. So if your criteria is speaking clearly, if you really want to drill down to speaking skills, if you really want to drill down on content in terms of like must have 5 specific facts about XYZ, I can add what is my criteria so it could be on content. And then you can specify specifically what that's going to look like. 5 facts. Okay. I can choose my score. So the maximum score. So out of 100. So I might make this be, 10 points out of a possible score here. And I can create my, so now I can add content. I can add another criteria. So it could be clarity. If you're really drilling down on specifics, speaks clearly. This really, is talking about the speaking as an option, and then I can adjust my point value there as well. So hopefully that answered your question, Ms. Jordan, about how you can put your specific criteria in there with that rubric feedback. Great question. Awesome. All right, so I'm going to hop back over here where we were looking at, we want to see one that has some responses in it. And I've got distance learning. I got tons of different ones here. So we did say hello on Flipgrid. This was a practice one for the kiddos here. So as you can see, I've got all these kiddo responses right here. So what I can do is I can go here. Active means it's available. Anybody can take a look at that and view it. But if I want to hide it, I can do that. That means that that one's not approved and only I can see it. So I can do that, leave that active. But I can also look at these are the other actions. I can edit the response. That means if for some reason the kid put the wrong title in there, I need to move it. I can do that. I can hide it. I can share it. Say, this is a fantastic example and I want to share it with my colleagues. I can do that. Add to mixed tapes. That's where you can pull in your best examples into a mixtape to share with your students. You can move it. So maybe a kid inadvertently responded in the wrong grid or the wrong topic, and you can move it. You can duplicate your responses. So if you wanted to move them to another section, you can also download the video and download the selfie. So the cool thing about the downloading the video is you can actually, if I wanted to download all of these responses. So if I go here where it says actions, I can say I want to, that's thinking, select, go to actions. I can activate, hide, and do this does it for everyone. But if I want to download it, it will let me do that. And that is super cool and a really cool option. The other thing I can do is print the QR codes. Obviously, if we're out for distance learning, this isn't as beneficial, but printing the QR codes allows you to use the AR feature in Flipgrid where you post the code and when you scan it with your Flipgrid app, it pulls up the video automatically. But what we did was we downloaded all of those videos and we made a montage video from those responses. So it was a great way for us to collect everybody's responses in one place. So I get a lot of questions like we did the reflections for several different ones. We did teacher reflections that way. And the coolest thing I've seen lately is one of my schools, the chorus teacher had the students record their individual singing of a song. They did Landslide. This was the girls' chorus. Everybody sang individually, recorded it, and included it on their Flipgrid. And then they pulled all those videos together, and it was one of those awesome choral group singings. It was amazing. And it was bonus. It was one of my favorite songs, but the kids did that. I was just wowed. So there's so many cool ways. There's a way using it with the arts. I've had lots of different subject areas use different projects with Flipgrid. So let's take a look at a couple other things and some features we want to make sure we know. So you've seen how we create a grid. You've seen how we create a topic. Now what we want to do is we want to see what the camera looks like. What is the student experience? Okay. So I'm actually going to go down here. And I'm going to go into, let's go back to mine. So we're not messing up anybody else's grid. So let's go to my first period class here. So I'm going to go in here to the distance learning challenge. And here's a cool thing. They've added this option. I can add a response right now. So what it's going to do is here, it's going to fuss at me because I have different camera options on here. What's going to go here to, let's see. All right, we're going to do this. We're doing this live, so this is super fun. Let's return here. It's trying to find my camera. There we go. All right. So no cool green screen right now. Fingers crossed. Flipgrid's about to have their big Flipgrid live event. That's one of the most requested features is green screen. Oh my goodness. Let's hope that that it's there. We'll see. Fingers crossed. All right. So I'm in here and I'm in the Flipgrids. I'm in the camera. So notice I've got filters I can add so I can jazz it up. I can make myself look like an alien. That's really cool for the kids that didn't know, they don't want to be on camera because to believe it or not, as much as I'm doing these video tutorials, I am not a fan of being on camera. But I can choose to use any one of these other filters or not use a filter at all. Then I can also go here to this text option and I can add in text, which is super cool. So kids can put a title on what they're talking about. All right. And so, or they can put their names. So their name's on the screen. Now I can move this over here. That looks super cool. All right. Now I can go down here and I want to look at my camera stuff again. And I want to add in stickers. I can do that. I mean, who doesn't love having stickers right there? I think I'm liking party sticker right there. I can resize it though. There we go. Add in my little emoji. So now I've jazzed up my little screen here, and I can also then move along here. I can draw on it. This is what's really cool is that I can annotate on the screen. My math teachers love this. Social studies too, because they can annotate and point out where physical features are of things. So what I can do is I want to go in here and I can use the drawing option and I'm going to doodle on myself here. Okay, so I can annotate and point out my thinking. Now there is an option up here to clear the whole thing or just undo. I saw the coolest thing that was done on a Flipgrid video recently. A math teacher went through, did the whole lesson and did the undo until he got back to the beginning and then did just the redo when he was recording it. So that way he was able to go, oh, and there's the step and there's the step. Blew my mind. I thought that was super cool. So there I can add that stuff in. I can also turn on over here. Let's turn on the whiteboard option. So if I want to use it as a whiteboard, if I don't want to be on the camera, this is also a good option for students. And I can annotate on here as well. And I can change my color. I can do some really cool drawings. So for my artistic students, they love this. The other option here is I can upload my own custom stickers. So I could upload my Genmoji if I want. Let's see here. Wait, we'll just add, here's our logo for our training today. Let's go ahead and add that. So now I can move this over here. So I haven't even started recording. I'm just setting up my scene. So as a student and as a teacher, if you're doing tutorials for your students, you can get this all set up. And I haven't started recording yet, so I can get everything that I want on there now. So the other couple of things we want to take a look at is if we go down here to the 3 dots, I can record my screen now. This right here is a new feature that's available inside of Flipgrid. Super cool. So if you've already been using tools like Screencastify or Loom or your native screen recorder on your PC or Mac, this is really cool. So now you can have your students record their thinking. You can upload a video clip that's already done. So for example, I had one of my math teachers did TikTok style videos, and the students recorded it in clips and then brought it in, and they were able to edit it together. And the other thing is I can bring in audio as well. So that's another option. So now I kind of think I like the way I've got this set up. Let's move this just over just a hair right here. And now I'm going to go ahead and hit record. Gives me that countdown. Hi guys, here we are talking about Flipgrid. Flipgrid is the coolest tool. It allows you to let your students amplify their voice and demonstrate their creativity. So I'm going to pause. Okay, I like that. Let's go next and take a look. It's going to play it back. Hi guys, here we are talking about Flipgrid. Flipgrid is the coolest tool. So notice I now have editing options. I can actually trim this a little bit, or maybe I want to add in other clips. Let's do this. I'm going to add one more. All right, so I'm going to add one more section. Are you guys ready to catch that Flipgrid fever? Pause. Now I'm going to go next. Now, because I'm in an editor mode. Hi guys, here we are talking about Flipgrid. Flipgrid is the coolest tool. But look what I have now, 2 clips. If I wanted to make this my first clip, I can easily just drag it in the front. Now, easily drag it. There we go. There we go. Make it happen. Make it happen. All right, hold on. I'm looking at 2 different screens, and so it's hard to maneuver. But I can't wait. I know what. I'll drag that one behind that one. There we go. So I can reorder them, and then I can go next. So now it's going to ask me to take this selfie. All right, hold on. Let's get selfie ready. Okay, that was bad, but I'm good with it. And then just like that, I can submit my video. It'll ask me if I want to change out, my name, if I want to put a title on it, if I want to put a link. So if I'm a student and I've created this and I want it to be, this is the video that goes with the presentation I've created, I can easily do that as well. So I'm going to submit this real quick. Let's submit it again. That's probably because I got 2 different computers going on here. Let's see here. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and download it just because for some reason it's probably mad at me because I got 2 different things going on. So we're going to go ahead and refresh this back to the board. All right, so you'll submit it. So here's a question. I got a couple questions that right here. Let's see. I got one question here, Ms. Jordan. Do they have font size options, or is there one default size? You meaning fonts for like text that you put on there? There's just that basic text if you're adding text on top of the video. There is the ability to bold and italicize in the instructions, but not really font size. Great question. And I got another question. Miss Ortegon says, can you preview that video before you submit? Yes. So I could play the whole thing through before I hit submit. Yes. Great questions. Love it. Love it. All right. So I want to show you what's also really cool up here is that as a teacher, you can use what they call the short section. So that allows you to use the same camera, but you can record your instructional videos in here. So it pulls up inside without it going to a response. You can record videos in here. It pulls up all the same tools. Got to switch out that camera. It's trying to get that snap camera. There we go. And I can record and create my video, and I have a max time of 10 minutes. I have a lot of teachers that are doing these kind of instructional videos right here. And once you're done with them, I'm going to close out of here. Once you're done with it, you can easily share these out. Look at this. That's bad. Last time I did training. Oh, I think this is kind of hilarious that the last time I did a Flipgrid training, I was wearing the same shirt. No judgment, guys. No judgment. And I had flat hair, Jen, that day. That was before my COVID haircut. But notice I can copy this link and I can embed it. I can scan it out. I can put this. So this is a great video tool that you can put in here as an example. So as you're doing like intro videos to your students, hook videos for your content area stuff, you can create these. You can make as many short videos as you want. There's not a limit on that. So you can make as many shorts, and they live right here under shorts. That's the way you have the power of that Flipgrid camera available to you. Awesome. Wait, oh my God, how did you do that? All right, how did you do which what? That question just popped up. Give me some, help me out there, Miss Oregon. What did I do that gave you a, oh my goodness moment? Because that would be good. All right, so I'm going to pop back over here and I'm going to make sure that we have covered most of the stuff, and I have a couple other things I'm going to share out. We talked about creating our topic. We talked about time. Awesome. And I am going to share the link to this Flipgrid presentation as well. Showed you shorts. Awesome. We talked about all the features of the cameras. Those emojis and stickers is really cool. I love that you have that screen recording option that you can add your own video clips, which comes in handy for students that maybe they were remote on out recording something somewhere and they didn't want to record it directly into Flipgrid. Because the one thing, and maybe this will be another update, fingers crossed, is the idea that you have to do your recording and editing in one setting. You can't save it and come back to it. So you can upload different sections. Oh, how did you spotlight our questions? Oh, that was what it was. Very, very cool. And I'm gonna throw that up there. There we go. So what I'm streaming on StreamYard right here. And one of the options in here is that I can grab in comments from either Facebook or YouTube that are live, and I can throw them on there, which is a really cool option when I'm doing these live streams, is I can bring that in when you guys have these really, 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 really cool questions and comments. Awesome. So just to reiterate, you cannot save a record, like you can download it and then upload it as a new video and just keep adding to it, but you can't save a work in progress in Flipgrid. So you can record a bunch of stuff on your phone and then upload it. I actually had students at Brown Middle School, we set up a Flipgrid studio so students could come in they can come in and record using a green screen. They would come in and they would record with a green screen, and then they would use iMovie to do their editing. And then we would upload it to Flipgrid as a way for everybody to see the videos. So it's super cool that you can do that. So there's just so many different options. There were a couple other questions per grid as a student. You're going to have one grid per class, and under your grid as many topics as you want. And the other cool thing is, and I'm going to show you guys here, that's something that's made life a lot easier. Let's go back to my grids. Is that I'm going to show you, let's go here, is that I have the ability to rearrange the grids and rearrange topics inside the grid. So let's go inside here and see how I've got two different topics. Notice this little drag bar. If I want that to be on top. So as you're adding more and more topics, you can have the most recent one live at the top. The advantage of that is that when they come in, they can, they'll know that that's the one that they need to respond to. Okay. Great questions. Playing around with that Flipgrid camera. The best way for you to use this is to practice and play with yourself. Like literally just try it, see what works for you, and make some example videos, and be okay with failing and being silly, because the kids will appreciate that you're being authentic. Some tips or tricks that I would definitely want to remind you of. I mentioned moderating responses. I think that's really important. Until you build that culture of kids feeling safe with their videos going live, you might just want to moderate it until they've given approval for it, or until you've previewed it. You can easily share that topic with a QR code. You can upload videos, which is the app smashing, and you can actually use other tools like iMovie to edit, or green screen doing to do some cool stuff. There's the ability to freeze a topic, which means nobody else can respond to it. The Disco library, we're going to take a look at that in a second. We talked about co-pilots. Sharing it with your admin or your co-teachers is great. Grid Pals allows you to connect outside of the district, and I'll show you that. I showed you where you can download your videos and your selfies, and I showed you how you can record and use the shorts option. But I do want to point out here, up at the top, you're going to see that's mixtapes. That's where you've added your favorite topics up here that you want students to take a look at. And Grid Pals is where you can, I'm hidden right now, but if I go active, check this out. I can give my information out there. I'm going to click next, enter my location. I'm going to put in Atlanta. There we go. Next. And now what it does is it's going to put me on the map. It has all my information, join Grid Pals. And now when I do that, I can have people that are going to connect with me. Check this out. All of these are educators that are interested, and I can connect with anyone that I want to connect with. Okay. Which is great for, the that virtual connection with other classes. Up here also is the disco library, because I'm all about, let's not reinvent the wheel, because the wheel might already be out there. So they highlight their favorite picks of ones that have been already created. They also have these playlists of different ones. Look at this, Breakout EDU stuff. They've got partnerships with other Epic is books, and we've got other different tools here, vocabulary. But you can look here, look at this. There's already 20,000 topics here, but I can filter and look for what I'm looking for. So if I know I'm working with middle school, and I'm working with, let's see here. We want to do some digital citizenship at the beginning of the school year. Look how it's already filtering down, and I can go in and look at this online trolls response. I'm just curious just because it's got the troll style. This is fantastic. So watch the video is the potential troll in all of us. And then it's got a video, which is obviously there that you can take a look at. So I can add this topic to one of my grids. So instead of reinventing the wheel, I can go ahead and grab one that's already out there. Okay. So that's where you find the disco library. So we can look there. So disco is discovery. What you're looking for, grid pals is connecting outside. And think of it like old school pen pals, and then mixtapes where you take your favorite responses and you put them there together. Okay, so let's take a look at, I'll make sure I covered a couple other things. Great questions have been popping up. Updates that have come in the last year have been the AR QR codes for videos, which is amazing. You have the ability to add audio files now. They've increased that max time to 10 minutes. It used to be 5 minutes. They released the 10-minute option when we got out for distance learning time. They've updated that feedback option, which we took a look at, and the screen recording feature is new as well. And again, the Flipgrid Live is going to be happening in the end of June, I believe. I'll put the link in there, so if you want to register for the live event, you can see what's going on. And they share all the cool stuff that's coming to Flipgrid for the upcoming school year. Remember, fingers crossed, green screen option. That right there would make Flipgrid my all-in-one tool. Okay. So if you want to do some app smashing and level up and do some really, really cool stuff, you can use tools like Green Screen by Doink. So you can use the green screen option. You can use iMovie to edit your stuff before you upload your final product. Same with Apple Clips. If you have an iPhone, Apple Clips is a really cool video tool that you can make some individual clips and then upload it. Same with Adobe Spark. You can do Book Creator, Chatter Picks, Shadow Puppets, and so much more. Excuse me. So I did say I was going to put a Flipgrid up there for you guys to respond to. I'm going to drop this I'm going to copy this link address, and I'm going to drop it in the chat. So for those of you that want to go ahead and participate in it, you can. It's going to go out there to the world. And you can respond to how you're going to use Flipgrid, which you kind of thought from this session. Maybe you were like, oh, I didn't know Flipgrid could do that. I definitely would love for you to respond in that reflection. So let's recap here. Our session goals were to provide you an overview and talk about the features of Flipgrid. We got that. Signing up and how to create a Flipgrid. Check there. We did it. How to create and share a topic. We did that as well. And tips for using Flipgrid. Talked about some of my favorite tips. And then there's the bonus is to respond to your Flipgrid. So I had someone say that their hair's a mess. Guess what? What can you do? You can turn on that whiteboard option, or you can also pull up a big old emoji sticker and cover your face and just give me that response. All right. So need code. The passcode is Tech Tips 411, of course. Let me grab that here as well. All right. Yeah. Tech Tips 411. Let me drop it in there. There we go. Got it. Tech Tips 411. When in doubt, that's always the best password I can use right there. So I am going to add these links in there as well. This presentation link will go into the video link below. There's a link on remote learning on Flipgrid, and I've got an entire page on my site dedicated to Flipgrid with tips and tricks, including my Why Flipgrid graphic that I created. So I really appreciate your time and spending some time here with me. So I did want to remind you that you tuned in for one of many of my PD sessions I'm offering each day at 2 p.m. So today was on Flipgrid. Tomorrow is going to be all about Google Classroom tips and tricks. I'll also be talking about awesome assessment tools on Thursday and G Suite tips and tricks. And you can see I've got a few more sessions to fill out the next 2 weeks before I go on my vacation. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. Hopefully you found this session valuable and beneficial. And if so, I'd really appreciate if you gave it a like there at the bottom, connect with me on social media if you don't already do so, but give this video a like if you thought it was beneficial. Go ahead and hit subscribe so that you will know when the upcoming PDs are available, and you can check them out. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I appreciate your time. And if you're watching this on replay, thanks for checking it out. All right. See you on the next one.